I don't know. I'd say I'm reasonable.
Okay, that's completely unreasonable.
I'm reasonable.
I'm unreasonable.
You have no idea just how reasonable I have been.
Reasonable synonyms are sensible, rational, practical, fair, appropriate.
Fitting, suitable, logical.
All things I would definitely say describe me.
Do they describe you?
Welcome to I'm Reasonable with Zainab Johnson.
I'm reasonable. Hey, you guys, welcome. Welcome to another episode of I'm Reasonable with Zainab Johnson. I am Zainab Johnson. I hope that you have had a very reasonable time since we last spoke. On a scale from Donald John Trump. On a scale from Donald John Trump. On a scale from Donald John Trump to Kamala Devi Harris. How reasonable have we been this week? It is 5:23 p.m. in Los Angeles, California on November 5th. It is officially Election Day. It is the last day that you can cast your vote for the the election. I guess it's the 2024 election, but whoever wins will take office in 2025. I am taping this on Election Day, as I said, and there's still no results. I'm looking, I see the results that are in so far, and let me tell you what, my feelings are hurt. But I'm hoping that by the time you guys get this, maybe hours, days, hopefully not weeks, that changes. It's feeling like Y2K. It really is. And not that, I mean, like I remember hearing, like it's like when you're not quite old, whatever. Y2K was like when we was about from 1999 into 2000, and everybody thought like January 1st, 2000, it's like the world was going to like somehow be upside down or be non-existent or whatever, something crazy. And something that we could not predict was awaiting us the moment the clock struck midnight. It feels like that. It feels like the results of today's election will forever change our existence. And I know people like, girl, you in the United States, what you mean ours? I do feel like a lot of what happens in the United States strongly affects what happens in the regular world. And I don't say that arrogantly. I don't say that ignorantly, but I do feel like it definitely does. Obviously it does, right? I mean, that is what Palestinian people have been saying this entire year, over a year. You send in bombs. So what we do here directly affects what happens in the rest of the world. And so I don't know. I'm trying to remind myself that regardless of what happens, like when I wake up tomorrow, I'm still going to get up and go for my run in the morning. But there's a part of me that feels like, oh no, am I going to wake up to the purge? How you guys doing? Okay, so today on I'm Reasonable, we are going to talk about all the election. We're going to talk about all the crazy behavior at polling places. On What's Up with Z, we're going to talk about stray dogs. We're going to talk about Diddy voting from jail, celebrity endorsements. Do they matter? We are going to talk about voting. Listen, don't nobody want to hear nothing. If it's today, there's everything that is occupying the news cycle is voting. Even Reba McEntire is getting read for filth on Twitter because she posted like 2 pictures of her red hair, one short, one long, talking about, I don't care what length it is. I love being a ginger. You know, she was celebrating. I guess today is natural red hair day. And everybody, all the comments was like, Reba, read the room. Reba, the room. Reba, the room, Reba. We ain't trying to hear about your red. And that's the thing about Election Day, right? Election Day is like Easter, it's like Thanksgiving. It ain't like Christmas or New Year's, right? Where it don't matter what day it fall on, the date is the date. But like election day is what is always our first Tuesday of November, right? And so it can fall on any day. So if some other day is occupying, if it's like World Trash Day, National Sisters Day, it's like, don't nobody care about that. Don't nobody care about that, especially in what seems like a very consequential election as this. So that's really what's going to take this up. But we have some follow-ups in the Ask Z portion of the show. We have a porta potty clarification or follow-up briefly. And remember when I asked you guys, I suggested that pictures be taken on when you are on a date, and this be a feature on dating apps to prevent catfishing. And I asked you guys what you thought, and some of you responded. And so we will dive into that on Ask Z. But before we do that, let's talk about where you can see me live. I was in Denver this past week, and thank you so much. That wasn't a headlining gig for me. That was a show where 4 comedians, we all did 20 minutes on stage, and it was a really fun time to be in Denver. It's a beautiful state. Denver is a beautiful city inside the state of Colorado. And the weather was really lovely. And I had a good time hanging out with the other comedians and all the people that specifically came to that show to see me. I really, really appreciate you. Thank you so much. This weekend, I will be in St. Paul, Minnesota, November 8th and 9th. I have 1 show Friday, November 8th, 2 shows Saturday, November 9th. That is at Laugh Camp Comedy Club in St. Paul, Minnesota. And then November 11th, I will be in Amsterdam. November 14th, I will be in Geneva. November 15th and 16th, I will be in Paris. November 18th through the 23rd, I will be in London. Then I'll be back in the States. November 29th through December 1st, I will be in Ontario, California at the Ontario Improv. Then December 4th, I will be in Austin. December 6th and 7th. I have been saying 6th through the 8th, and I was completely wrong. I apologize. I will not be doing shows on Sunday. I will only be doing shows on Friday and Saturday. So that is December 6th and 7th in Houston, Texas. And then December 31st, New Year's Eve, I will be in San Jose, California at the San Jose Improv. And then our 2025 dates so far. I know I have a new Baltimore date, but I don't have it in front of me right now. I am so sorry. But Baltimore has been added. There's a few dates that have been added that will be in the details of this podcast. But right now, what's in front of me, let's just talk about it. Starting off the year, I will be in Seattle, Washington, January 3rd and 4th. Seattle, Washington. Then January 9th, I will be in Raleigh, North Carolina. February 6th through the 8th. 6th, 7th, and 8th, I will be in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. January, I keep putting, it's because how it's written. Let me go back to January. Let me change this right now because that's why I keep having the error, right? Because that's the way it's written and I'm reading it. And anywho, January 16th through the 18th, I will be in Washington, D.C. February 21st through the 23rd, I will be in Chicago, Illinois. April 11th and 12th, I will be in Toronto, Canada. And like I said, more cities and more dates are being added. So keep checking back. Keep going to my website to get those tickets. And that link to the tickets and my website is in the details of this podcast. While I have you go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Hit that subscribe button, and go ahead and give this episode a thumbs up. And if you're like what you're hearing, seeing, whatever, go ahead and give it a share. It helps. Okay, so what's up with Z? What's up with me? I'm going to keep this really quick. I do not like stray dogs. And it ain't even a dog that I personally dislike. I actually like dogs. When I was a kid, I never had a dog as a kid. But when I was a kid, there was an older woman who lived in my building. She was my next door neighbor. She was a senior citizen. And I believe her kids lived in Florida. I used to hang out with her granddaughter who used to come visit her for the summer in New York from Florida. She used to try to get me to eat pig feet. I don't know what that was about, but I just used to be like, I'm good, girl. I know I'm Muslim, and so I'm going to say no anyway, but you just got a pig's foot out of the jar at a bodega. I'm going to have to pass on that. I'm so sorry. But when her daughter wasn't visiting, she owned a dog, actually. This older woman, my senior citizen neighbor, she owned a dog. And I used to walk the dog. I used to walk the dog every day for like a few years. I walked the dog every day. Animals typically like me. If you've seen my stand-up, if you've seen my new hour, you know I'm talking about a very specific creature right now. And last night, he was definitely at my kitchen door just staring at me like, when you going to let me in? And I had to look at him like, it's never going to happen, Captain. But so it is not the actual dog of the stray that I don't like. I don't like the idea of a stray dog. I was on my run yesterday and I had to avoid a stray dog. And my sister is visiting right now. And I came in the house and I was like, I came in the house winded because when I say avoid, I mean, I had to hit the sprints. Good thing, like when I am running, I'm keeping a consistent pace. You get what I'm saying? It's not a sprint. It's a consistent pace, but I do have the ability to sprint. Whenever I'm on a road and I cannot like run long distances, I cannot like run outside, I typically run on the treadmill. And when I have to run on the treadmill, I do sprint intervals. So I had to hit the sprint because the dog saw me and started running after me. And I'm like, oh, I got to get up out of here. So when I got back in the house, my sister was like, how was your run? And I was like, I mean, it was great up until this dog. This unowned dog, I actually said stray dog, and my sister was like, "You mean stray? Are you talking about a stray dog or a lost dog?" And I said, "Well, if the dog is lost, ain't it a stray?" And she was like, "Well, no. Like she was like, a stray dog doesn't have a home. A lost dog has a home." And I said, oh, you mean like, because you can tell they have a collar. And she was like, yeah, that's the difference. Like if the dog has a collar, typically it's not stray. Like it might be in the street. It may have strayed away from its home, but it's not a stray dog. And I was like, oh, okay. Did not know that. Thank you for the education. This dog did not have a collar from what I could see, but I'm gonna be honest with you. It was 2 seconds before I took off and hit that, you know what I'm saying? Hit that Jackie Joyner. Like, okay. I was like, why can't I think of a Shikari? Anywho, but I don't believe that it had I don't believe it had a collar. And here's the thing. It's the same dog. A few days ago, I got a notification on my Ring app saying somebody had took a picture of it from their car in the neighborhood. Like, hey, this is a dog. You know what I'm saying? So, see this dog, it looks pretty old, whatever. Kind of look like a wolf. And I didn't really think much of it, right? It's like I saw it on the app, but I wasn't even in town. I was in Denver, so I didn't even think much of it. So then Monday I go out for my run and I do my run. I'm on my way back. I'm on the last part of my run and I see like maybe a block, maybe like a little bit less than a block away. I see this woman. She's on the steps of her. She probably lives in like a 2-family or maybe like a duplex type of house, and she's on like the second floor, and I see her kind of like she has something. I don't know if it's a belt. I don't know really what it is, but it's kind of hanging and she's going like that. So I'm like, oh, is she trying to get her dog on a leash? That's what I'm thinking at first, right? And so I just see the dog kind of jumping at her and I just see her doing this, right? And so I'm like, oh, I think it looked like I stopped my run just to kind of like survey, right? To just kind of observe. And I noticed that the dog is like jumping at her, right? And so then I kind of lose sight of the dog because it just like maybe a bush or something, a tree, a gate kind of blocks it. And I still see her going like this. And then the dog like kind of backs up from her, right? So the dog backs up and realizes like, okay, this isn't like a place of refuge for me. And so he comes back to the sidewalk, sees me because it's early in the morning, y'all. The sun is up. But it's early in the morning, so there's very few people out, very few cars on the road. I'm talking about the sun just came up. So the dog sees me, instantly takes off running towards me. You'd have thought I was an Olympic athlete. You would have thought my last name was, in fact, Richardson. because the way I turned around, hit that right, went up the street, I mean, bolted, got up out of there to the point where when I got to the next main street. And here's the thing, when you running and you scared, anything can happen. So I got to make sure that I don't get hit by a car. I got to make sure that I don't trip. I got to make sure, like, a lot of things, right? Also, while making sure the dog ain't on my heels. I'm running, turning around, looking behind me. I don't see the dog. I'm running, turning behind, like the whole time. When I finally get to where I think, I'm like, okay, if I'm at this the next main street, and I don't see this dog in the distance, then that means he gave up, right? And so now I got probably like 5 minutes left in my run now, like a little under a mile to go in this run. And I'm winded because, like I said, I've been running at a consistent pace. And now I just took off and did like a 400 meters, you know what I'm saying? Sprinted like freaking, I don't know, 400 meters, probably like 400 meters. Probably longer than that. And so now I have to kind of get my breath back to, you know, like, and I just was, frustrated is not the word and upset is not the word. But like, I did feel like my peace was disturbed. Like typically when I'm running, I do have a level of peace. That's why I love running outside. That's why I love if my run is a very scenic route, because then I can just like, I just let my mind wander. I let my spirit wander. I let my, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, and that's why I really love doing it early in the morning when it's quiet, when the city is really quiet, you know? But then I'm thinking as I'm running, like, whose dog is that? And here's the thing. Most people are going to say, as my sister said, and as I know, the dog probably scared. The dog probably hungry. But here's the thing. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what's up with the dog. I don't know when the last time the dog had human interaction. I don't know if the dog is scared. I don't know if the dog is going to jump at me. I don't know if the dog is going to bite me. I don't know if the dog got rabies. I don't know. But what I do know, especially if it's an old dog, what I do know is this really messed up. It's really messed up if you just turn your dog over to the streets. That's wild to me. And I'm not an animal person. I don't dislike animals, but I don't need to really interface with pets like that. But like my sister was saying, she was like, you know, a lot of people get dogs when they're babies and they don't realize that the dog is going to become the size that it is. Like my sister has 2 dogs. She has 2 really big dogs, one pit bull and one, I don't know, but it looked like a wolf. It's a big dog. It looked like one of them wolves to be in the mountains with the white snow. And her dogs have been here, not in my house. I let one of them, I let Bentley come in my office one time, but they just be running around in the backyard, in the front yard. And it's not even that much space, but they be running around, but not in my house. No. But they're big, huge dogs. Well behaved, but huge dogs. And she was like, sometimes people don't know. And I'm like, well, if you're going to get a dog, do your research. Also, she was like, I was like, well, it was like white and black. And she was like, oh, that sounds like a, damn, she said the name of the dog, but I can't remember it now. But I was like, but I don't know if it was like white and black because that's the breed or because it's just an old dog, you know? And I was like, and that's even more messed up if you just putting a dog out because it's old. And I'm like, just take it. If you can't take care of the dog anymore, take it to a shelter. Have it. I know this is going to sound really morbid to some people, and I don't want Peter to flag this video. But like, if the dog is old and you have to put the dog down, then go have the. I think it's more cruel to have the dog out in the world just scared and starving. And also, reminder, people still do, just in the same way that people hurt people still do abuse animals. People still do torture animals. So why would you even do that to a pet that you've had that grew old with you and your family? My sister was like, oh, well, you know, it costs. It costs now. It used to be free, but it costs to like take a dog in or even have a dog put down, like euthanized. And I was like, how much does it cost? And I try not to sound insensitive. Like if somebody tell me it's going to cost me $125 to bury my pet that grew old with me, I'm probably going to look at that and I'm very thankful for my situation. Like that's a little bit of money. Whatever. All the crazy go. I'm trying to, as I'm speaking, I'm trying. I don't want nobody to be sitting watching this like, not everybody has $125. Not everybody has $75. I get that. All the stupid ass GoFundMe's I done seen, all the GoFundMe's I done donated to, the teachers that be just randomly sending me they Amazon stores at you know what I'm saying, at the start of the school year that I buy some supplies to. Now, don't send me a bunch of videos. I mean, don't send me a bunch of Cash App requests like, hey, girl, I need to put down my dog. So could you send me? But I'm just saying, I'd rather that than have to face it on my run. Somebody sent me a Instagram message. This happens often. Just be talking to me like they know me. Hey, Zainab, I know this is crazy. I know I shouldn't do this. I know that you might not even see this, but I'm really in a bind. Could you send me $5,000? You got to show me to subscribe first, sis. You got to show me to subscribe first, and you got to show me the ticket to the show and the picture that we took when you came to my show. If it's like, Zainab, I just love you so much, and could you please just cash at me $5,000? I feel like I talked about this on an episode that I taped when I was in Melbourne, right? Anywho, my point is, yes, it is selfish thinking of me to be bothered that my run, which is a luxury, for me to have the time and the ability to get out in the morning and, exercise, do something. I feel like it's a gift to myself. I recognize that it is a privilege, both physically, mentally. I recognize that. That I ain't getting up running to a job, Although I will point out, even when I had 5 a.m. pickups for upload, I would still try my best to get up and go hit them sprints for 20 minutes on the treadmill before, whatever. This ain't about me, but it kind of is, because this is I'm Reasonable with Zainab Johnson, right? And this is the What's Up with Z segment. If you have a dog, please make sure that all your gates are closed. Please make sure that your doors are closed. Please make sure that your dog ain't wandering around wherever you live. Please make sure that when people are jogging, running in your neighborhood, that your dog ain't the dog that's chasing everything. Please. If you don't have money to euthanize your dog and you can no longer be the caretaker to your dog, the owner to your dog, please just do a simple Google search. I'm sure that there are so many animal lovers out there. I'm watching, the only other thing in my news feed besides voting stuff is the man somewhere who he took in a pet squirrel. Some influencer took in a pet squirrel and then they euthanized the squirrel because the squirrel might have had rabies, something like that. People all over this world, especially in the United States, though, love animals. Some much more so than human beings. So please be more responsible for the sake of your animal, for the sake of your dog, and also for the sake of my peace of mind in the morning. Thank you so much. Let's get into these main topics. It is election day. It is now 5:46. Let me see what's the CNN. Let's see what's the update on CNN. Of course, by the time this is out, y'all going to have much more information than I have. I can't even talk about this because this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. These are the states that Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia. So Georgia is red. Florida, Indiana, red states. Trump is winning those states, or has won those states. I guess it's already decided. And there's a lot of small states that, okay, let me, and they, okay, but what's happening right now is they're saying, oh, wait, in Pennsylvania, Harris has 68.3% of the vote, and Trump has 30.7% of the vote. Come on, Pennsylvania, come on. I like, you saw the district, was it the district attorney of Philadelphia was like,
I want people to be reassured that when they get up tomorrow to go vote, if they have not voted already, that everybody in this city is working and has been working for months to make sure that there will be nothing tough about that experience and nothing to fear in that experience. But I also want to be clear, anybody who thinks it's time to play militia, F around and find out. Anybody who thinks it's time to insult, to deride, to mistreat, to threaten people, F around and find out. We do have the cuffs, we do have the jail cells, we do have the Philly juries, and we have the state prisons. So if you're going to try to turn an election into some form of coercion, if you're going to try to bully people, bully votes or voters, you're going to try to erase votes, you're going to try any of that nonsense, we're not playing. F around and find out.
I'm going to just say, he said F around because he is a district attorney and he knew he was on national television. He said fuck around, find out. He said it ain't going to be no threats. It ain't going to be no bullying at the polls. It ain't going to be no scare tactics. It ain't going to be no stealing. It ain't going to be none of that here. Now, I don't know what y'all do in the other 49 states, but here in this, anything that I control, that's what we not going to do. He said fuck around, find out. I said, okay. In Michigan, which is another, this video is battleground state. So in Michigan, Harris has 55.7% of the votes so far. Trump has 42.3%. I'm too stressed. I remember for some reason, 2020, I wasn't stressed out, but I remember 2016, same thing, when Trump was going against Hillary Clinton. I just remember I was so stressed. I just had to go to sleep. I said, let me just take my behind to sleep. And then I woke up like around maybe 1 o'clock in the morning and it was called that Trump had won. And I called my boyfriend at the time and I was like, I'm seeing online, because it was so, I couldn't believe it. Online, I was like, listen, this time if it happens, I hope it doesn't, but this time if it happens, I can definitely believe it for reasons that are even more unfortunate. But I remember seeing it and I was like, I think but Virginia, they neck and neck. Okay, whatever. I was like, it say online that Trump won. I had FaceTimed him and I was like half asleep and I was groggy and he was like, hey, I was like, yeah, it say online that Trump won. I was like, but that's fake, right? Like that's people like trolling. And he said, no, Zainab, Trump won. Go back to sleep. You know what I'm saying? I'll talk to you in the morning, but yeah, Trump. And I was like, oh God, okay. And then I went back to sleep. Anywho, so now I didn't know this. So Diddy, I don't know if he has, but Sean P. Diddy Combs is, as we know, locked up in a detention center in Brooklyn. And they say, I don't know if he did, but they say that he is able to cast a vote from jail. And I actually didn't even think about that. Like, yeah, in New York, I know that there are holding centers, like one of the, very, like probably a really known detention center is Rikers Island. And the people that are there are either sentenced to a year or less time, or they're awaiting trial. And so, yeah, if you aren't considered a felon and you are just awaiting trial, but you are locked up, then it makes sense. I never thought about it. I don't know. Let me know if you guys have. But yeah, it makes sense that they can't vote, which is really interesting because no candidate that I know of has ever visited any of the jails. Like, yo, but I guess not the jails. I get whatever. So apparently, if you are in jail, and I know that technically some felons can vote in different states, but in New York City, if you are in New York State, rather, if you are in jail awaiting trial, but you haven't been convicted of you haven't been found guilty of the crime of a felony, then you can cast your vote, but you have to mail it in as an absentee voter. And that's something that you have to request. Now, I don't know how easy they make the process. I don't know if they charge you. You know, when you be in jail, that's like modern day slavery, in my opinion. Everything costs. And they really, even in these like detention centers, they really prey on the loved ones of the inmates. Because I remember when I was dealing with that with my brother. I remember when I was dealing with that with a guy when I was younger that I dated for a tiny, you know, you wake up real quick. You go to see one boy in jail one time, and then you realize you feel like a criminal too. You like, oh yeah, this ain't for me. But yeah, it's like they don't got no money in there. They don't have any money in there. But the people that love them, that are outside, do, and will do whatever they can to make their stay there as comfortable as possible, you know? So I'm not sure what it takes to actually get and submit an absentee ballot, but it is possible. And speaking of hip hop personalities, so it was revealed today. I don't think I knew this because I don't follow like Waka Flocka. Like, I know very little about him. I did know that he was a Trump supporter, which I don't care about. That's his right. I didn't know he was a Trump supporter because earlier this year, when Biden was still in the race, he was doing a concert, and it kind of made the blogs that he had kicked out anybody in his show that were supporters of Biden.
Biden voters to get out. See y'all. I'm gonna holler at y'all. We're gonna see y'all at the bingo game. We're gonna party right now for our fucking President T24, man. It's a motherfucking party. What's up?
And recently it was revealed that while he is a really loud and vocal supporter of Donald John Trump, he has never voted. And now the thing about it, and I mean, if you see his response, like it was like whoever did the digging and found out, which it is public record. It is, and I feel like people have been talking about this a lot more than I ever remember. Like, hey, just know it's public record. We can see if you vote or not. We can't see who you vote for, but we can definitely see if you have voted. And here's the thing. I'd have never been able to find, we all got that one friend that all you got to do is give them 2 pieces of information and they could find everything you need to know. I am not that friend. I don't really be having an interest like that. Maybe that's why I'm not a journalist. My friends that could find everything, I'd be like, girl, why are you working? You know what I'm saying? Why are you in that classroom teaching? I know we need teachers, but you need to be working for the New York Times. You need to be working for a press publication, because you can find something with a tiny clue. You can find all the information. I'd have never found out because I would have went to the form looking to see if Waka Flocka voted, and I would have put Waka Flocka. I'd have put first name Waka, last name Flocka. But whoever went searching, they knew his full government, and put it on Twitter like, yo, that's crazy that he's telling everybody to vote and telling everybody to vote for a specific candidate, but he ain't never voted. And of course, Waka Flocka was like, I don't give a fuck what you saying, and I'm gonna still keep doing what I'm doing. Partly because he is arrogant, and probably because he's just arrogant and doesn't care. But I was thinking, so as much as they roasting him online right now for it, and it don't really matter. And I can't honestly, I'm sure it's people out there. I can't honestly imagine the person that's at the polling place. Like, I'm here because of Waka. I can't imagine that, but I'm sure that you exist, and that's okay. But it got me to thinking, do celebrity endorsements even matter? I'm looking at this Forbes list. Forbes has listed all of the biggest celebrity endorsements for both candidates, right? And so Taylor Swift endorsed Harris. Oprah Winfrey endorsed Harris. Lady Gaga endorsed Harris. Joe Rogan endorsed Trump. I think he endorsed Trump after he saw an Elon Musk interview. Katy Perry endorsed Kamala. Christina Aguilera endorsed Kamala. Randy Mahomes, which I feel like I talked about this on a podcast, right? Because Trump was like, his wife she's very pretty. And it was kind of like, what do her being pretty got to do with her saying that she going to support you, support your vote? I'm sure if she was like, I'm supporting Kamala, he would have been like, she's not even that attractive. But I believe Randy Mahomes is a football player. And I only believe that because I believe I talked to y'all about this before. He endorsed Trump. Dick Van Dyke, who is 98 years old, he, via his official YouTube channel, endorsed Kamala Harris. Viola Davis endorsed Kamala Harris. Mick Jagger, well, he's British and can't vote, but he endorsed Kamala Harris. So essentially, now that I say that, right, Rihanna's tweets are also going viral, as they typically do right now, because she also is endorsing Kamala Harris and was very vocal about organizing her Navy, getting the word out to her Navy, get out and vote, because she can't. Rihanna is a citizen of Barbados and she can't vote. Her children, I believe, were born here, and therefore they are U.S. citizens. And so she tweeted, she made a joke about she wishes she could use her son's birth certificate to go and vote. And then a lot of people came after her. And it's really interesting how people, this right here makes me think about Amanda Seals. This is how Amanda always in her videos, he'd be like, it makes me, it's funny how people just take what they want from a video. I am just wearing a sweater. I'm wearing a sweater from AYR. They gifted me this sweater along with some other things. And as you can see, I have my I voted sticker on my sweater. I went for a run this morning. I took a different route because I wasn't trying to test to see if that dog was still lost over there. So I took a different route, and I knew that I would take the route that kind of crosses my polling place. And so on the very last, probably half a mile of my run, I have to pass my polling place. So I stopped in, cast my vote, and I took my I voted sticker, and I didn't put it on because it's my clothes are sweaty. I waited until I showered, got dressed, and then put on my voting sticker. And like every other person in the United States that is voting, whoever they're voting for, I posted a picture on my Instagram. I voted, encouraging people if they hadn't voted yet. I never said who I voted for. I never said who they should vote for. I simply said, I voted and you should too. That's it. Of course, in my comments, it's just a troll. And it's crazy because I go to the trolls page and it's like, well, you follow me. So that means that you are one of those people that likes to keep tabs on people just so that you can hate. That's crazy. That's crazy. I was about to say that's like going to a grocery store looking for stale food, but that's not really a comparable metaphor or analogy, whatever. But let me just tell you who I don't want to see. People that I don't like and I'm not interested in. But just started, I look at my comments and I'm like, why are people arguing? Are people against voting? And then I see like their comment was like, oh, are you making this about race? And I'm like, that's crazy because nowhere in the picture, I mean, I'm black, I can't hide that. But nowhere in the picture, and I'm a woman, I can't hide that either. But nowhere in the picture, nowhere in the comments did I say anything about me or anybody else being a black woman. But that's what they decided. That's what they decided a simple selfie of me and with an I voted sticker means. It's like it's wild. Anyway, so same thing happened with Rihanna. And you know, she can't vote. But she said she wishes that she could, and she encouraged her fan base to go out and vote, and to go out and vote for Kamala Harris. And I know that I'm on the topic of does the celebrity endorsement matter? And like I said, we shall see. We shall see, because Kamala Harris definitely has the bigger celebrities and the coolest celebrities. What am I saying? What am I saying, you guys? What am I saying? What am I saying? But I do think when I was thinking of, let's say like a Mick Jagger, when I think of a Rihanna versus somebody like Waka Flocka, it's like the only reason they're not voting is because they can't vote. So their only power, the only thing they can do is the call to action to their fan base. Like, hey, I can't do this, but if I could, this is what I would do. Poke myself in the eye. Waka Flocka is very different. He is an able-bodied citizen, legally and physically capable of voting, is out here talking big stuff. But then it's revealed that you ain't even take 5 minutes out your day to go vote for the guy that whatever. Will.i.am, encouraged his fans to vote for Harris, Kamala Harris, Chloe Grace Moretz endorsed Harris, Jake Paul, which is like, I think he does celebrity boxing or something. He expressed his support for Donald Trump. Nicky Jam, which is a reggaeton artist, I think he was in support of Trump at first, and then when, you know, shortly after he found out that his home island was referred to as a island of garbage at a Trump rally, he then was like, lo siento. Anywho, doesn't matter. I ask you guys, I'm sure that we are going to see. I know for me, my vote is not based on who Oprah votes for or who Beyonce votes for at all. Yeah, that's it. It doesn't sway. Now, who endorses someone can dictate how I support them. Like if Beyonce is involved in something that really in a non-nuanced way, like a black and right, like this is crazy, this is wrong, this is, you know, then I could see it definitely affecting me buying concert tickets and me buying merch and me listening to music. You get what I'm saying? And I see that. I mean, I see that now. Like I always have been vocal about who I'm voting for. As much as it's not perfect, I've been very vocal that I cast my vote for Kamala Harris, and I hope that she wins. But even if she doesn't, that's still my truth and my reality. And I have had, you know, people who feel like any vote for her is a vote for genocide, which is not. Of course it's not. Of course it's not. But that's how they feel, you know, and so because of that, they will pull back their support of me. And that's just a part of this. So I'll reiterate, do you guys think, I know we will see, but do you think celebrity endorsements really even matter? Okay, so there's this video at the polling state. I don't know where it's at. Let me find what state this is actually in, where this woman was trying to cast her vote, and she was they were giving her a hard time because she had on a MAGA hat, a Make America Great Again red Trump hat, and they were saying you got to take the hat off to cast your vote, and she was like, no, I don't. And then they was going back and forth. And here, I'll let you guys see the video.
This lady just said she was a poll worker. You saw him just touch me. I'm not a poll worker. Let me cast my ballot, sir. You cannot touch me. Do not touch me like that again.
Take your hat off.
Do not touch me like that again.
Take your hat
Do not
off.
touch me like that again.
Ma'am.
Do not touch me. Hey, this man is refusing to let me cast my ballot.
This lady is refusing to take off her party designation.
That's not a party designation, sir. And actually, I'm an elected libertarian. So fuck off.
She's also being obscene. We can use that as political too. Well, that's legal.
Keep going, sir.
I will.
I'm voting.
Hey, you can't put that in.
Okay, so I actually just looked it up, and some states, Michigan is one of them, that you cannot wear. Michigan has prohibited the practice of displaying election-related materials at the polls for decades. This includes clothing and buttons, as well as materials such as pamphlets, flyers, and stickers. You cannot display such items in the polling place or within 100 feet of an entrance to a polling place. If you go to the polls with a shirt or button bearing election-related images or slogans, Make America Great Again, you will be asked to cover it or remove it. So as much as she was taping, and then she said she was a libertarian, whatever. As much as she was taping it and posted it, and it seems like, oh, people are trying to stop Trump voters from voting. No. It's like, yeah, that older man that was saying, you have to take that off before you can get, like, he was absolutely right. But like, there's no context for this video. You know, there's no context. There's no education for this video. I had no idea. I did not know that. And I don't, and again, voting is a state thing. It's not a federal. It's like, as much as we're voting on a federal, the presidency is federal, we are voting state by state. And so you have to check and make sure. Now, this woman might know that and just might not care. And clearly was in their tape, you know what I'm saying? Clearly taping it, but I mean, shoot, now I know. So yeah, she's unreasonable. And that ain't got nothing to do. I mean, it would be the same if she walked in with, you know, a Harris t-shirt and they did the same thing, but whatever, it don't matter. I'm happy I did that research though. What I will say is I'll be happy to just white on white crime. I know I got to stop saying that because so many white people love me. But the thing about it, and I'll say this actually, and then we can stop talking about it and we'll just have to just wait and see what the results are. But I feel like, as I pointed out in my Instagram post, I feel like just out of nowhere, this election has been... this election has been reduced to race and gender. And it's really not. It's really not about race and or gender, but it has been reduced to that. And I think this video, if they were different ethnicities, I think that it would have been even more, there would have been even more, I don't know, gasoline on the fire, you know? So sometimes when things like this happen, I just be happy that there's no differentiation in the ethnic makeup of the person, because then we can rule out the race war of it all, you know? Anyway. All right, let's get into these Ask Z's before I get out of here. 2 or 3 weeks ago, when I was in Michigan, on the I'm Reasonable episode, where I invited Forever First Lady Michelle Obama to my show, I posed an Ask Z to you guys, and I told you guys that my younger brother was developing a dating app, and that I had proposed an app feature, and which is taking a picture when you're on a date with someone, taking the picture as soon as the date starts. It's not a secret picture. It's not a picture on a low. It's not a picture that they don't know about. It's a picture that it's like, if you guys watch Upload, very first episode on Upload, there is a like future dating app. And the first thing that they do when Nora and the Byron character, when they first get together, as soon as the date starts, it's like a hookup app. And on Upload, this is why y'all should watch Upload. It's a hookup app. And as soon as the date starts, they both have to give each other consent. So it's the same thing that I'm proposing, just to eliminate or really cut down on like the aspect of catfishing, because I hear that's like the number one complaint when I hear people make fun or talk about dating apps. Oh, they showed up and they was old. They showed up and it wasn't them. They showed up and they was not the weight that they said that they was, etc., etc. They showed up and they ain't have none of their front teeth. But all they pictures, they was like, at Find Volume, and the reason why I'm saying their handle is because they put this in the comments, so I don't need to make it anonymous. Thank you so much, at Find Volume, for engaging in the comments. They said, #AskZ. I have some thoughts. If you were to use a dating app and you saw a guy had been on multiple dates with multiple people through the verification pics that I suggested, would that make you less likely to go out on a date with him? Would it make you question if there was something going on with him, or be suspicious of him in any way? Like, oh, he must be a player, or why can't he keep a woman, etc. To answer your question, I do think that I do think that there are like special cases where you might see like, wait, in the past month he went on 900 dates. How is that even possible? But he did. Then yeah, that would be a red flag for me. But I think that if I saw like, 15 pictures of him from other women, it's like, this is what dating is. And some of us in this life will date very few people, and we'll have this, like, every person that we date, we end up in a relationship, and therefore we've only known very few people. Some people go out with, like, in my mind, dating is the process, right? It's like, I work in entertainment. I put a lot of auditions on tape. I go and I do a lot of auditions for casting directors, but you haven't seen me on very many things, right? And so if someone interested in hiring me for a movie or a television show was like, oh, but I see she submitted 20 auditions to these 20 other roles, but she has not booked any of them, then is she really a good actress? I would be pissed. Because I feel like my audition tape is the only one that should speak for if I should get that job or not. So like in this instance, if I did see like, an uncharacteristically large amount of dates on his profile, one, I'd be happy that I go in knowing, because that's something that I could talk about and ask about, inquire about on the actual date, right? I could have that information and then assume like, he must not be compatible. Oh, he must be a player. Or I can say, well, all of these pictures look the same. And they look like his profile picture, and they look like somebody that I'm at least on a first level attracted to. I'll keep looking at all the other aspects of the dating app, all the other security aspects of the dating app. Okay, it doesn't look like he has any really bad reviews. So let me go on a date and let me be the judge. Maybe he ain't compatible with them 20 other women or however many other women or people, whatever. Because I'm the one. Like, I don't know, but I don't think me seeing, like, I think it would have to be like because to me, I actually look at that as like when you talk about the person that you're with and their sex partners, you know, like, yeah, some people that have sex with, like, it's always assumed that if you have a large body count, that you also may like, oh, you got STDs, but it's like, I know people who have they got an STD from the first person they were, virgins until very late in life, and then either married the person or fell in love and decided to, and that's the person that gave them the STD. And then, you know, people that be just out here loose with it, and somehow manage to stay unscathed, you know? So I think it just gives you information that you can take with you to the date. And then if I said to him, I was kind of shocked. You know, I was like, I wanted to ask you about this because I see like in the past month, you have like 15 selfies, but 15 pictures date pictures from women. And so like, are you like a player? Are you just looking for hookups? Like, is it just not, is it something that you're doing, or you just find that it's not working out with the women? Like, that's something to talk about on a date. So even as you pose that, I still stand by, take the picture at the beginning of the date. I just don't think it hurts. I'll keep going. To the app, what about this is what Find Volume is saying. To the app, what about some sort of video verification after you sign up to verify you're a real person? It records live. You can't upload anything. You just have to do a simple pose like the peace sign or something. It doesn't have to get posted to your profile, but there's a team that reviews it and makes sure it's not fake. And once it's verified, your profile gets a verified badge. That sounds great. Here's the thing. There's nothing saying that. Sometimes people help catfish. So if I feel like, we watched the MTV show Catfish before, right? Every so often, it's somebody that's in cahoots with the catfish. So if I know I'm trying to catfish, if I know that I ain't really going to have success as myself, there's nothing to say, hey, sis, my sister, can you do this video? Even if I don't even tell them what it's for. Here, let me take this video of you real quick. Upload it. Now it's me on the app. And then I have to rely on the app, the engineers of the app, the owner of the app, to really be on top of the. Have you ever submitted a complaint to YouTube or a complaint to Instagram or Facebook or to any of the social apps? It's so many people that out here, they get flagged. And they have no explanation for being flagged. And then you see porn, you see nakedness, you see hate speech, just up. Also, one of the first podcasts that I listened to, which was true crime podcast, was Dr. Death. I listened to Dirty John first, but I remember Dr. Death. And if you ever listen to Dr. Death is about a neurosurgeon in Texas. And he got so many complaints. Real life complaints. I'm talking about taking people out, paralyzing people, leaving them way worse off. His own friend, like athlete, something like that, football player, put his friend in a wheelchair, not qualified to be operating on nobody's nerves, spine, nothing, brain, nothing, none of that. Everybody kept sending complaints to the board. That whatever board is over it in Texas. You think they did something? Because they was more concerned about the money that they was getting by being able to say that they had employed a neurosurgeon at their hospital. They didn't do nothing but allow them people to keep getting hurt. And that's how we got a podcast and then a whole series on it. So I think that is a good suggestion, but I don't think that would be very effective because, y'all, we've been talking about this. All the work that people be putting into scams. I said it on an episode. Like, if we just applied the energy to good that people be applying to scamming, this would be a whole different world, but that's not the case. Lastly, at Finds Volume said, dating apps aside, if there's a mutual intent to meet, both parties should just take 30 seconds and FaceTime each other. You'll find out if they're real before even meeting. I completely agree with that. I don't know how you're going. I mean, I guess it's a Zoom call if y'all got different phones, like if y'all got different operating systems. Because I know we be saying FaceTime, but FaceTime is an Apple product, right? I know there's video, phone, and messaging on every product, but FaceTime specifically is an Apple product, right? So I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you talk to people via video. If they got a Samsung or Android or whatever. I told y'all before, before Tabitha got an iPhone, we used to talk through Marco Polo because I had an iPhone and she had like an Android or something like that. And so we used to have to talk on Marco Polo. But I do agree with you. If there is a mutual intention to go out on a date with someone, it's like you don't even need to go blind, right? Like, get on a phone, get on a video thing for 30 seconds. Like, hey, I just wanted to check in. You know what I'm saying? But here's the reason why I think people have an aversion to all of this. Because if I got on a FaceTime with you before a date or before confirming a date, and I'm like, hey, I just want to check, make sure you look like how you look. Now, again, there is that possibility that person is going to have somebody else pretending to be them, right? But that's so stupid because it's like when I get to the date, it's like it's clearly not going to be you, but whatever. But I think that people think that that's shallow. And it's like, whether you think it's shallow or not, it's like, let's not waste time. You're going to get the same. If I don't like what you look, if I care about what you look like and I don't like what you look like, it's like it's going to happen either before we go out on a date or after we go out on a date. So I don't know who's paying for the date, but let's save the money. Let's save the money, the gas, the time. I agree with you, but I think that if I got on a FaceTime and was like, hey, I just want to check, make sure that, you know what I'm saying, you look like how your profile is saying you look. On top of the fact, you know, and this is definitely like a woman thing, a woman to man thing. On a FaceTime, I can't tell your height. What I'm going to be like, get the ruler. Get the ruler. Get the ruler. Like it's a mugshot. Stand up against the height wall. Let me see that height before I come on this date with you. But I'm down for that. I'm down for like hopping on a quick 30-second FaceTime. Like, hey, just wanted to check in, you know, get a good look at you, make sure I know what I'm looking for when I get to the proposed date place, and then go from there. Thank you so much. He ended his comment with he ended his comment with like, no disrespect, but no disrespect to catfish victims, but like you can avoid the situation from the beginning if we're being real. And but that's the thing. I agree with you. But I think people who are even a little bit insecure, those are the people that, because it's like the catfisher knows they catfishing. So they on that side of the spectrum, right? And then you got the real confident people on this side, either confident or delusional people on this side. And they like, anybody could see me because I know I'm giving, right? It's the people in the middle that have even just a slight ounce of insecurity that does not, you know what I'm saying? That like, yeah, I do look like my pictures, but I might have face-tuned a little bit. I do, you know what I'm saying? Like I do, I mean, I have put on a tiny bit of weight, but not enough where I feel like it should change your interest in me. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like those people that might probably have the most problem with what we're proposing, because it's like the catfish know they catfishing and they're gonna find a way. They're gonna find a way anyway to get off they scam, you know? And then our loyal listener, the Cadence Kyle 05 at the Cadence Kyle 05 says, answer to Ask Z. Like, I like the idea of what you're saying. It makes me think of Amazon reviews on purchases. However, I'm trans and our online dating hookup apps are too trash to get that far, and there's still way too much concern for public outing and insecurities for my community to participate effectively. You would not believe the percentage of blank pictures or no-face picture profiles that get traction and attention. Men try to make you feel guilty for not replying and having conversations without actually seeing any picture, let alone a catfish picture. Cadence, thank you so much for contributing to this conversation, because as a hetero cis woman, I very rarely consider, it's not that I don't consider, but I have no experience in the LGBTQIA plus department, especially as it relates to apps. And so it's a blind spot for me. Sometimes when I'm speaking, it's a blind spot because it's not my dating life. And so you said a few things. I agree. I do like the comparison of like the Amazon reviews or the Yelp reviews, but even that is like, I always, with Yelp and Amazon, it's like I'm reading your review, but I almost don't pay attention to none of the reviews that don't got pictures. Let me see them pictures. Now, when you say the online dating and hookup apps for trans people specifically are trash, I had no idea that on an app, a dating or hookup app that is geared towards trans individuals, people don't show pictures. I think that this is like probably a conversation that I need to have with a panel of people who identify as trans. I did not know that. I mean, I guess I did, but I'm wondering. I always want to understand, if you are a trans person, why you wouldn't lead with that. And hear me out. I ain't that naive, and I ain't ignorant. I know that there is so much trans hate. I know that there are a lot of people who would love to be with someone, especially a trans woman, but then might find unknowingly and not care, but then find out and maybe feel judged by their community, their family, their friends, society, and therefore that love be flipped to hate instantly. I understand that. But I feel like it's the same as the date with the picture, right? Like, if it's going to happen, this is so hard to say, so forgive me, but I believe that if I were a trans person, I'd want that to be known up front, because I would want to know that you are okay with it. I ain't trying to get into something. I ain't trying to fall for you. I ain't trying to build a rapport with you, a relationship, and then it's revealed in whatever way that it's revealed, and then and then all of that was wasted time and hurt feelings. And so I know that it is one of the most difficult things, especially as it relates to dating. And I imagine more so for the trans woman than the trans man. Or the trans woman that is attracted to identifying males, people identifying as male, especially cis males and hetero cis males. I am sure for that trans woman that is attracted to that, I'm sure it's the worst. I'm just sure of it. But it just seems like if the heartache is going to be there anyway, Why not? Why not? You know what I'm saying? Get the trash out your life. And like, you know, it's like, this is who I am. And you either take me as I am, you know, or swipe left, you know? Yeah. So I think that if it's an app that specifically, like, everybody on the app knows that this is a trans friendly app. And so you know that who you're swiping on is trans, like, that's established. Because as you said, it's like, I know Grindr is for gay men, right? So I ain't on Grindr. It'd be crazy if I was on Grindr looking for a man. If I'm on Grindr looking for a heterosexual cisgender man, that'd be crazy, right? And so if you're saying that there's apps that are specifically geared towards and targeting the trans community, then it seems like if y'all do end up going on the date that I say, this still at the beginning, it can still be, because I imagine that your profile picture is what it is, you know, and then they can look, this is what this person, yep, it matches, you know. I don't know. Again, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Hashtag it with Ask Z. And you know what? I'm going to get out of here, and I'll talk to you guys next week when I bring you a new episode of I'm Reasonable, if I'm not running from the purge. No, I'm just kidding. But I know that we are in a really anxious time, and some people watching this want one person to win, and some people watching this may want another person to win. Whoever does win, I wish you guys peace, love, and a very, very reasonable day. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.